Man, I've been driving trucks for a long, long time. I've also been making videos for a long time too, probably just as long, maybe even longer. And one of the things about driving trucks, even though video editing and making videos has come a long way, I started driving trucks before the iPhone came out, but you can learn video editing quick and you can learn how to drive a truck quick too. But the one thing about driving a truck that's different from videos and making videos is that with truck driving, you can talk a lot and you can sound like you know what you're talking about. But all the real truck drivers know you can't fake experience. You can't fake it. There's certain things that like you only pick up and learn and certain tips and tricks that you would only know if you were around from a certain era. There's just certain things about it like it's a trade. And you'll have people say like, "Oh, driving a truck is not that hard." It's not that hard. 99% of the time it's a very very easy job, but 1% of the time something's going to happen, something's going to pop up, and when that problem pops up, you're going to find out how experienced that person really is. And that's the one thing that I really really miss about driving a truck is that, you would see people solve so many problems and, you know, from like the very beginning, even until the end, like the very end, I would see people do things and I'm like, how did you know how to do that? And you find out that that guy, may not look like it, but that guy was, a truck driver back in, in the Vietnam War. And he literally knew everything about a diesel engine. I've seen guys start up trucks. I'm like, how do you even know how to do that? There's certain tips and tricks that you can only pick up from just being out there for a while. And I knew that I was in it for maybe a little bit too long. On my last year out, I had a lot of guys come up to me asking me questions. And I found myself, when I was at shippers and receivers, getting out of my truck and analyzing, like, seeing like someone having a problem and going over there and trying to help them resolve it. And I would get a lot of feedback. People like, oh, wow, thanks. I didn't know, stuff that eventually I realized I'm like, oh, they don't know how to do this stuff because I'm an old dog. I've been around for a while. Now, I'm not the oldest truck driver out there. There's plenty of truck drivers who've been around way longer than me, but you reach a point where you realize maybe I should be helping people out and giving something back because there's some things that people just aren't going to learn and they're not going to pick up without someone's help. Now, I hate to be that person that comes over and like, hey, let me show you how to do that because sometimes you'll be out there and in actuality that person may not be having a problem. I would try to refrain to the point where if somebody asked for help or it really looked like they did need help, I would go help them. But that also brings up the other point, which is so many people in the trucking industry, and I hate to say this because it's absolutely true. When I started, I came in at a time when I was taught by the older generation, the analog truck drivers. No GPS, no cell phone, just a map and a pocket full of quarters, and you just got to find your way and do it. Some of these guys drove trucks with no AC, 10, 13, 18 speeds. You were a truck driver and the mechanic. There was no roadside assistance, real truck drivers, um, and I entered into an era where the technology started coming in, automatic transmissions. Then the GPS came out. Then smartphones came out. Then we got Bluetooth and headsets, and it all just got more and more tech. And they put computers in the trucks, and then the paper logs went away, and then it was e-logs, and then the computer screen got bigger on the Qualcomms, and now it's just a whole tablet to get your shipment details and do your e-log. But the one thing I got to say is that back then when I used to drive, in that video that I just showed you, this video, and I have a couple more, but in this video right here, when I was a young dude, out on the road just running around, no cell phone, um, really just enjoying America. This video is my first time I was in Utah, and like back then, it was just a lot different. It wasn't about the money as much. It was more so about serving your country, and it was more so about getting to see America. And of course, times change. I'm not saying I'm not hating on anybody or anything like that. Times change. Things are different. But when I was doing it back in the day, it was a lot different. It was, and the experience was so much better. And what I mean by that is that true isolation. Here I'm in Utah, so you have to understand this is a time where limited cell phone service. I probably had a flip phone at this point in time. Probably didn't have an iPhone. I doubt I did because this is probably 2007. Um, and just being out on the road and having that time away and really being like in that isolation and cut off from the world, it really gave me a sense of like self-reliance and learning like, hey, you have to do it on your own. And I still remember that to this day, that feeling of like, wow, I did it, and the things that I would have to go through, and it was just me, and you had to solve these problems and get through the day. Now you have so much help, and it's not a bad thing. You have, FaceTime. You can call a friend, and you can call directly uh, into your office and ask for help, or be connected to another driver with a problem. But back then, like, you had to figure it all out on your own, and I miss that. I miss that about about personal growth, not trucking in general, but the personal growth of it. I know this might seem, if you're watching it, if you're still watching at this point, this might seem like I'm just rambling on, but this period in my life, just in general, not as just a truck driver, period in my life was absolutely monumental because this was the first time that I was actually doing something completely on my own. I don't know if this resonates with the younger generation. I'm 44, but this was the first time I actually did something that took me away from where I lived. I mean, I had been to New York State, I had been up and down 95 a couple times, but I had never really been out on my own in the country. When I was driving for this company too, I used to go to Canada as well. I had never done anything like this. And to drive this vehicle, a 10-speed Columbia, when Columbias were new, I was driving Columbias when Columbias were new. Now all the truck drivers still want them because they're actually pretty reliable. They're pretty durable, but I was driving them when they were new. And I just remember this time, as a period in my life where I realized that you can do things on your own. And maybe I stayed in the business too long. Maybe I didn't. Maybe there's more things I had to learn. But if you see my life now and you wonder, why am I the way that I am? Why do I do the things that I do? Why do I behave in the manner that I behave? It's because I used to drive this truck back in 2007 with no GPS, no real cell phone, just a road map, myself, 3 Newport cigarettes, 2 Cliff Bars, and a pack of ramen, and I was set for the day. And I would have half a gallon of water, and that was it. And I would just go out there and do it. And you got to imagine the guys before me didn't even have that. They maybe had the cigarettes, but it's crazy to think about it now that like it doesn't translate because the younger generation, they have so much access to tech, and me too. If I were driving now, it's the same way. I mean, even got the headset on now, but it was so different at this period of time. It really, really was. It was so different. It was really just you and the road and the personal experience. It was a lot more personal. The truck stops were a lot more unique. They weren't so cookie cutter. It really was just a different time. And now I look back on it because I have a lot of videos, and it's funny. At the time, I was just recording, with my little Kodak, digital camera. Like, wow, I've never been here before. But I'm really glad that I took shots of myself in the truck because I captured it in time, a time where, I didn't think I'd ever really look back on this and be like, hey, man, that was me driving the truck a long time ago. But I enjoy watching it now. And I hope I get to share a lot more of the videos that I had from back in the day because I had a pretty good time. Like my first year was a really good time, and your first year will probably be your best year. I had a lot of girlfriends in a lot of cities, and I had a pocket full of money. When you're a young truck driver, it's a lot of money. You got a pocket full of money, a lot of girlfriends, a lot of cities. I went to a lot of cool places. Rented some cars, drove around, had a good time, and maybe I'll talk to you guys about it more in another video. But yeah, I've been around for a while. I've been riding before the iPhone came out, so I know there's some truck drivers at the truck stop. They'll give you their story, how long they've been truck driving. Well, that's mine, okay? I've been driving trucks before the iPhone came out, so I'm a bit of a road dog. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching this video. And like I said, one of those things is, And it just that photo, just this photo, because I know like I was new. I must have been like 4 or 5 months in. You know, you really can't fake experience. You really can't. Not in trucking. In trucking, you can't because there's so much stuff that that guy right there in this photo right here, this photo, hold on right here, this guy in the photo right here, has no idea about. Like, there's just so much stuff. And, you know, I might be there and I might be driving that truck, but I mean, there's just certain things that you just don't know. And thank God I made it through. I did 17 years, no accidents. I didn't get any overweight tickets. I didn't get any speeding violations. I didn't hurt or kill anybody. And I always say that. And I'm very thankful that, you know, I did because um, I did get a great experience out of it, but I didn't bring a lot of money out of trucking. I really didn't. But the experience stays, and I'm proud that I did it because I didn't have those things happen to me, fortunately. I did not have those things happen to me. I didn't end up in a bad accident or get like a crazy overweight fine or a speeding ticket or get my license taken away. And I'm glad that that didn't happen, you know, so that I can look back on it with a sense of peace and hopefully help and educate some people about the business who want to know about it. So anyway, I probably rambled on more than long enough, but I appreciate you guys watching. I really do. This is kind of like therapeutic for me. It's kind of getting me back on my feet, you know, getting myself out of my head. I had a lot of things happen to me in my life recently, and you know, just getting back into video editing um, and just talking about my life is actually helping. Whether these videos get views or not, you know, for me, it's really kind of bringing me back to um, and reconnecting me to who I am, who I was, and you know, who I still hope to be. So, anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys soon.